Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Comeback Stories, where we dive into wild, real-life tales of people pushing boundaries and getting their just desserts. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single story. Today, we've got a doozy, a tale of entitlement, trespassing, and a boat party that went so wrong it ended up in the open sea. Picture this, a self-proclaimed HOA queen, a private yacht, and a night of chaos that nobody saw coming. So grab a snack, settle in, and let's talk about the time Karen thought my boat was her personal party venue, and how I let the ocean teach her a lesson she'll never forget. This is the story of how one woman's audacity turned a quiet night into a maritime meltdown. Let's dive in. It all started with an email. Not just any email, mind you, but one of those passive-aggressive, guilt-trippy messages that only an HOA board president named Karen could craft. I'm talking about the kind of email that makes you roll your eyes so hard you see your own brain. My name's your name, and I own a 38-foot yacht docked at a private marina just outside our neighborhood. It's my pride and joy, a sleek white beauty with leather seats, a mahogany-trimmed cabin, and all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a boat I've poured years of savings into. It's insured under my name, maintained with my money, and most importantly, it's private property. The marina's outside the HOA's jurisdiction, and I made that crystal clear to everyone in the neighborhood. But Karen, Karen didn't care. She was the self-appointed queen of our HOA, the kind of person who'd measure your lawn with a ruler and send you a violation notice if a single blade of grass was half an inch too long. Her latest obsession was the HOA's monthly mixer, a glorified excuse for the board to sip wine and pat themselves on the back for serving the community. Apparently, their usual venue, a stuffy clubhouse with fluorescent lights and stale coffee, wasn't cutting it anymore. They wanted something unique, something memorable. And that's when Karen set her sights on my boat. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, subject line, Community Event Opportunity. I opened it, expecting another lecture about mailbox uniformity, but instead, I got this, Dear Your Name, your yacht is practically a community landmark. It would be the perfect venue for our next HOA mixer. We'd love to borrow it for one evening to bring our neighbors together. The audacity. She didn't ask if I was okay with it. She assumed I'd be thrilled to hand over my boat for her little shindig. I could almost hear her smug tone through the screen, picturing her sipping chamomile tea while typing, thinking she'd charmed me into compliance. I replied in 10 minutes flat. My response was polite but firm. Karen, thank you for the interest, but absolutely not. My boat is private property, not a community venue. There are liability issues, marina policies, and I do not give permission for its use. I even threw in a line about how the marina has strict rules about unauthorized access. I thought that would be the end of it. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. A few days later, life threw me a curveball. I had to fly out of town for a family funeral, a somber last-minute trip that left me with little time to think about Karen or her HOA nonsense. Before I left, I made sure my boat was secure. I locked the cabin, disabled the ignition, and double-checked the dock lines, which I'd upgraded to heavy-duty ropes with reinforced knots. I'd also installed a Ring camera at the dock, linked to my phone, because I'm not one to take chances. You don't spend 6 figures on a boat and leave it unprotected. With everything locked down, I headed to the airport, thinking my yacht was safe. Then, at 8:47 p.m. on a Saturday, my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the Ring camera. I was in a hotel room, sipping a lukewarm coffee, trying to unwind after a heavy day. I opened the app, expecting to see a seagull or maybe a dock worker passing by. Instead, I saw Karen. There she was, strutting onto my boat like she owned it, a wine glass in one hand and a cooler dragging behind her. She wasn't alone. 3 HO board members trailed her, dressed in golf polos and boat shoes, carrying plastic cups, a Bluetooth speaker, and what looked like a tray of appetizers. One of them, a guy I'll call Greg, had the nerve to wave at the camera like he was posing for a family photo. I froze, my jaw practically hitting the hotel carpet. Karen was giving a tour of my boat, pointing at the helm like she was a seasoned captain, opening the fridge like she'd paid for the stainless steel herself. I could hear her voice through the camera's audio, muffled but unmistakable. Oh, he won't mind. It's for the community. My blood pressure spiked. I rewatched the footage, catching every detail. Karen's smug grin, Greg's awkward dance moves, and another board member, let's call him Dave, casually tossing a shrimp tail over the side like my boat was a frat house. I called my neighbor Tom, who I'd listed as my emergency contact at the marina. After some hemming and hawing, he spilled the beans. Karen had stopped by earlier that day, claiming I'd given her permission to use the boat for an A-approved event. She was so confident, Tom said, that he didn't question her. She'd even convinced him to hand over the spare key I'd left with him for emergencies. I sat there, staring at my phone, trying to process the betrayal. Karen hadn't just ignored my email. She'd lied, manipulated my neighbor, and illegally boarded my boat. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was premeditated trespassing. I could have called the marina staff right then. I could have called the police. But as I watched Karen prance around my deck, toasting to her own brilliance, something snapped. These weren't just nosy neighbors. They were entitled, arrogant people who thought rules didn't apply to them. Karen had crossed a line, and I wasn't about to let her off with a slap on the wrist. I wanted her to feel the weight of her actions. And that's when I remembered my boat's tech. See, my yacht isn't just a pretty face. It's got some serious smarts. In 2025, boats like mine come with apps that let you control everything remotely. I'd installed a Wi-Fi-enabled motorized dock release system the previous year, a fancy setup that lets me loosen the lines with a single tap, perfect for quick getaways. I also had a GPS tracker and a Coast Guard app for reporting issues. As I sipped my coffee, an idea formed. The tide was going out, the breeze was light, and the current was just strong enough to nudge the boat away from the marina if it wasn't tethered. Why not let nature take its course? I opened the boat control app, my finger hovering over the release lines button. On the Ring camera, Karen was now trying to go live on Instagram, muttering about an exclusive HOA yacht night. Greg was attempting a TikTok dance, and Dave was, get this, peeing over the side of the boat. Classy. I took a deep breath, said a silent prayer for patience, and tapped the button. The dock lines loosened with a soft whir, and the boat began to drift. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, it slipped away from the pier. At first, nobody noticed. Karen was too busy posing for her followers, and the others were too tipsy to care. But within minutes, the vibe shifted. The dock lights started fading in the distance. The pier was shrinking. Karen dropped her phone, her face paling as she ran to the stern. "Why are we moving?" she shouted. Greg tried the ignition, dead thanks to my remote disable. Dave stumbled around, looking for a paddle, as if my yacht was some kind of oversized rowboat. Someone yelled, "Who's driving this thing?" "Nobody, my friends. Nobody." I leaned back in my hotel chair, watching the chaos unfold on my phone. The Ring camera's range was limited, but the boat's GPS tracker showed a little, drifting eastward, spinning lazily with the current. I checked the marine weather forecast. Calm seas, no storms, just a long, humbling night ahead. Perfect. Meanwhile, the HOA group chat, which a former board member had secretly added me to months ago, was blowing up. Messages flew in like popcorn. "The boat's moving. Did anyone check the ropes? Karen, you said he was fine with this. We're stranded. This is your fault." Karen's responses were pure gold. "He'll understand. We're representing the community." "Yeah, good luck with that." Her Instagram live cut out as they drifted beyond the marina's Wi-Fi range, leaving her followers with a blurry freeze frame of Dave shoving shrimp cocktail into his pockets. The party was officially over. I opened my Coast Guard app and filed a report. Vessel may have been taken without permission. Last seen drifting east of the marina. I am the owner. I attached the Ring footage, my email denying permission, and a screenshot of the GPS tracker. I wasn't trying to trap them. I was documenting a crime and letting the ocean do the talking. By the time the boat was half a mile offshore, the Chardonnay buzz had turned to panic. Karen was pacing the deck, waving her phone like a castaway signaling for rescue. Greg was doubled over, probably regretting those shrimp, and Dave was muttering about jellyfish conspiracies under a beach towel. Around 1 a.m., the Coast Guard called. "Sir, we receive your report. We're dispatching a unit to locate the vessel. Are you in immediate danger?" I explained I was safe in my hotel, watching the GPS dot spin in circles about 7 miles offshore. "They boarded without my consent," I said. "I've got footage, texts, and a witness who confirms they manipulated their way onto my boat. Want me to send it now?" The officer's voice had a hint of amusement. "Now's fine." An hour later, the GPS showed the boat stalling in a lazy loop. Someone had tried to drop the anchor, probably thinking it worked like a car's parking brake. By 3 a.m., the Coast Guard intercepted them. The officer's report, which I got later, was a masterpiece. Karen was sobbing, Greg had vomited over the starboard side, and Dave was curled up, muttering about sea monsters. No injuries, no hypothermia, just a boatload of bruised egos and shattered Choe pride. I got a call at 6 a.m. from the Coast Guard. Sir, we've secured your vessel. Can you confirm again that you never gave permission? I reiterated the facts, sent over the evidence, and thanked them for their work. The boat was towed back to the marina, but not before the intruders left their mark, scratches on the hull from their botched anchor attempt, and a cabin that smelled like cheap wine and regret. Karen tried to spin the narrative at an emergency HOA meeting, claiming I'd orchestrated the whole thing as a trap. But the truth was undeniable. Tom, my neighbor, admitted he'd been duped into giving her the key. The ring footage showed her grinning as she boarded, and the HOA chat exposed her lies. In a 6-1 vote, she was ousted as president. Greg abstained, probably still seasick. Legally, I had options. Trespassing, maritime violations, even emotional distress if I wanted to channel my inner Karen. Instead, I sent the HOA an itemized bill for hull repairs and cleaning, complete with photos. They pushed back, so my attorney sent a formal demand letter. Payment arrived 2 days later. The final touch? I sent a calm professional email to the entire HOA mailing list. Friendly reminder, respecting private property. It had 3 bullet points. My boat is not a rental. Lying to neighbors for access is trespassing. Next time, the tide won't be so forgiving. The response? Dead silence. And it felt good. So, what do you think? Did Karen and her crew get what they deserved? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this wild ride, hit that like button, subscribe to the Comeback Stories, and share this video with anyone who's ever dealt with an entitled neighbor. We've got more HOA showdowns, petty revenge stories, and epic comebacks on the way, so stay tuned. Until next time, keep your boundaries firm and your boats locked. See you in the next one.